Can you guys hear me okay? I'm using my laptop. This will be a first. What is up? Well, looks like this one's going to be a really short live. I got about 40 minutes to hang out. What's up, Lakeside? Oh, yeah. Yeah, Friday. Well, I got plenty of sleep last night.
As I started out, we volunteer because we care. I believe that's a way of life here in Carroll County and the Delphi area. As Captain Bursta indicated, we now have monies for a reward. I believe we're in upwards to around $41,000, with $25,000 being donated by the FBI, $10,000 by the Indiana Packers, a local business. The Andersons have donated $5,000. Indiana Lafayette Savings and Loans has donated $1,000. They do that because they care. We need to solve this case. We have every resource that we can think of to prompt people.
Well, Miss Kitty, I don't really have a person of interest. And there's a million different scenarios that play through my head constantly.
to give us information. We need to get the murderer of Liberty German and Abigail Williams into custody sooner rather than later. That will be the end of our press conference. As far as speakers at this time, we will entertain questions.
Or the assistant special agent, Bruce and I, Crime Watch Daily, we're wondering if you had any indication to believe that this suspect in these images is local or was passing through. Do you have any indication as to where he might be from, if he's still in this area or not?
Would you like to come up here?
Joint partnership.
Is there any specific information that says the person is local or from far away? No. Could this be a stranger crime? That's a possibility. Could this be somebody that knew that the girls were going to be there at that time? That's a possibility. Nothing is off the table.
Yeah, it's exactly.
Yeah, Lisa says, I'm liking your mean teen theory more and more. I mean, that's where the evidence goes. I mean, I have plenty of conspiracy theories and I have all these different theories and, speculation and things like that. But the evidence does point to a mean teen theory.
That's exactly right. The only thing I would add is where the FBI can come involved, and if it does lead interstate or multi-jurisdictionally, we have that capability to stretch it further outside of this immediate community across the state or across state lines.
Yeah, I agree, Jessica.
Let's go one at a time. I'll let you do your follow-up, then I'll come to you. What's your follow? Go ahead and do your follow-up.
How long after Liberty posted to social media did this crime happen? Did the murders happen immediately after, or was there time for someone to see them on social media and then meet them on that trail?
As a special, we know that there are going to be lots of questions that we specifically cannot answer because there are things that we do not want to tip our hand to the person responsible for this. That kind of information we're keeping close to ourselves. Is it reasonable to think that that's an area, one of two things happen. That was a chance encounter. That's possible. Don't think it's likely, but it's possible. Or that person knew that they were going to be there. That's possible as well. Those are things that we're looking into. Question over here.
Online communication with this individual?
The Rockaway says, somebody spell out the motive for the mean teen theory, jealousy over Anthony shots. It could have been jealousy over a few things. Could have been jealousy over multiple things. Maybe Libby, there's boys that are coming in and out of your life at that age, from one week to the other. So we don't know what issues were going on the week prior to that. We know 10 days, I think, before the crime happened is when Anthony Shots was introduced to Libby. So if they were only introduced 10 days prior to the crime, this incident with another boy even, or some other reason to be jealous could have taken place around that time. And these people could have simply been using Kagan Klein. Because there's only two things that could be happening. Somebody is using Kagan Klein as a tool to commit the murders, or somebody's using him as a patsy. And that can only mean two things. He's either is as dumb as he looks and has nobody fooled and is exactly what he appears to be, or he's extremely smart and he's been able to project this image or this catfish image that he's been using basically his entire life, maybe in reverse, to fool us to make him think he's extremely weak when he's not. But the mean teen theory, I mean, you would have to know the killers and you would have to know exactly that it was a real theory or in play in order to know the exact motivation. But in my mind, it's definitely something that the killer would be involved with. Maybe a young teen said, hey, you fooled around with Libby, so now you, in order to prove your love to me, you have to now go kill her or something. It's really hard to say what's going on in the mind of a psychopath. You can only assume what would drive them to do what they do, but you really can't get into that mind frame.
Similar to what I just said, there's specific pieces of information that we're not discussing. The best example that I can give you is if somebody is a victim of a burglary and then they're murdered.
That's a good point. The Rockaway says the only problem is that ski mask girl thinks Anthony Shots is real and wanted to meet up with in real life. Well, how do you know that? Maybe she felt that law enforcement wasn't catching on to the game that they were playing or the evidence they laid out, and that reflects poorly on law enforcement because they didn't even catch on, and that's just hypothetical, catch on to the bait that was laid right in front of them. So she simply could have called in the ski mask incident and it may not have even have been real. She could have just been like, hey, there was a guy looking in my window. And it happened right after I was speaking with this Anthony Shots character who Liberty was. Now you got to remember, they didn't know who Anthony Shots was until that very moment. So it's kind of if the mean teen theory is real and it ties in the Anthony Shots profile, this is textbook inserting yourself into a case so that you can control the narrative. So we don't know if the ski mask girl thought Anthony Shots was real or she just wanted to introduce or get the ball rolling on the narrative.
Everybody wants to know how they were murdered. If we go into the details and we say they were stabbed twice in the back and they were shot in the head, then everybody hears that. And then when we get tips, people tell us that, and the tip is useless. We're keeping information that will only be known by the person or by who that person told. And when that's shared with us, it will set off the alarm bells and we'll know.
Captain, based upon what you have and other investigators have seen of this crime, do you believe this individual has killed before, and what makes you believe he will do it again?
Greg, I'll let Agent Massa address that.
There has been no indication right now that this is a part of a serial murder, if that's what your question is. So as of the facts that we have collected at this point in time, we have not tied it to any other known homicides.
Captain, you played 3 words. You have an extensive volume of video and audio. You're not sharing it. I mean, is there more?
We have other information that we're not sharing, and specific to your question, Raphael, keep in mind that they're
Miss Kitty says BG is not a teen. Yeah, I don't think he is a teen, but you don't have to be a teen to be recruited by one.
the likeliness of the possibility of more than one person. We're not saying that the voice that you heard is the same as this person here. This is all very complicated, very involved, and as much as we would like to tell you everything, more importantly, we want to solve the crime.
Clarify those who you just said that is not the voice of the person.
Clarify that could be or could not be. The audio is also
What's
from
up, Susan?
Liberty's phone. So again, she had the presence of mind to have the phone on and to capture video as well as audio. No, I can't. That is a loop that we played 4 times for purposes for you to hear it.
The cell phones were found with one cell phone. Did the suspect or suspects leave anything that you can talk about at the scene?
No, there's nothing I can speak to about the scene investigation and collection of evidence.
Did that photo come from one of the girls' cell phones in that recording?
Yes, and thank you for asking that, Paris. To clarify, the image that you're looking at here
The Rockaway says that is next level. Ski mask girl dimed out KK and faked the ski mask thing. Whoa. Well, think about it. The only thing that Libby and Keegan Klein have in common is the girl, or is the family who called in the ski mask incident. It's the only thing they have in common. Another thing, well, it's not the only thing, but another thing interesting that they have in common is it's the way that Libby was introduced to the Anthony Shots profile. So, and in the transcript of his interview with law enforcement, Keegan Klein, that is, he admits to catfishing this person. He said, yeah, she was into me, but I still catfished her, I was still, but I never had any intentions of meeting. So maybe this girl was smarter than he thought, and knew he was catfishing her. So if she knew that he was catfishing her and knew that he was unaware that she knew, he would be the perfect patsy.
Came from Liberty's phone.
Is it longer? Are you holding some that you can see how he walks? Is there any more of this image of this possible?
There's nothing that we are prepared to release at this time.
Can you, I guess, reconcile, this is believed to be the main suspect, the voice is believed to be a suspect. Can you say you believe that's the voice of that man?
No, I can't say that because we weren't there. We know that voice was captured from her cell phone. We know this image was captured from her cell phone. Keep in mind, all of you are in the television business. What do you see out of the TV? You see this. You don't see what's over here. You don't see what's over here. So there's lots more that we're looking at.
As I indicated before, the reason we believe this is a suspect is based on the totality of the evidence that we've gathered thus far. That has led us to believe this is the person that at least participated in the murders of Liberty German and Abigail Williams.
Yeah, Willow, that's what I'm thinking too. Something's not quite right with it. Lisa says Rockaway. Wait, what?
Now, we're not.
She says Rockaway ski mask. Ski mask definitely not February 20th. Yes, it was. Absolutely on the 20th. I checked and no school, no bus that day. Federal holiday, President's Day. It was definitely took place on the 20th. Not quite. I don't think I ever have. I mean, I always thought when they announced the whole Keegan Kline that the bridge guy looked just like Keegan Kline out there. Sounds like him too. So, the whole lone wolf theory is still very much in play in my mind. So I got about 10 minutes left, guys. Sorry to rush out of here, but I have to jump in the shower and we gotta head out. I wasn't keeping track of time. Yeah, I think she was definitely set up. Who set her up? Was it the whole incel catfish lone wolf theory? Or was it somebody else using, like a Tony Klein using basically Kagan's I guess you could call him in their world a skill that he wanted to use for his own gain. Amanda says, "What is the short story about the ski mask? I have never heard about that." Well, once the Kagan Klein, there was always rumors that there was an incident that took place involving a ski mask and the Anthony Shots profile, and it was just rumor. I may have heard it or seen it one or two different places. Very rarely talked about. And then the Keegan Kline interview transcript came out, and they talk about an incident where there was actually a police report created about the incident just shortly before Keegan Kline went. Actually, the day before he went to Las Vegas, they had apparently One of the family members from the household that introduced Libby to the Anthony Shots profile reported that somebody was looking into her bedroom window just after getting dropped off from a school bus. And apparently, it happened just after communicating with the Anthony Shots profile, providing an address, and talking about meeting up because her parents were gone. And it was at that time they became aware of the profile. That was the very first time. So without that report, we would never know if they would ever have found the Anthony Shots profile. Pretty sure they would have, but we don't know because it was that incident right there that made sure they did know about it. Yeah, that was an interesting one. That was something the Unsolved had seen on Rayner interview. Yeah, that was a good find. Very interesting. Yeah, I still look at that and still trying to figure that all out. Tina Baldwin says, I have a question. Were the girls found in the water or were they found in the woods? How do you stage a body in the water? Well, I would assume in the water there's some debris. Um, Maybe you can lean somebody up against that debris or on top of that debris. I don't think they're in the water. I don't know. The only reason people are trying to push that narrative is because they think that they discovered the bodies in the RTV6 chopper footage, Um, so they just want to try to give credence to that. But in my opinion, I don't know what that is. It looks like some kind of debris or trash or maybe some clothing even that got stuck to those trees. But I don't believe that they were found in the water. And if they were found in the water, I mean, then the affidavit was definitely lying because the coordinates don't show that they were in the water, no matter how hard some people try to prove that it was. Yeah, it was definitely on the 20th. The fact, actually, I think I actually proved that. I was debating this with somebody, and I'll when I get back um, to my office, I'll do a video on that. But yeah, I think it even states in Kagan's interview they give a specific time. I think they mentioned something along the lines like the day before you went to Vegas, or something along those lines. But it's right there. It's not up for debate anymore. It's a fact that it happened on the 20th, which happened to be a Monday, exactly 1 week from the crime. Around the same time as well. Yeah, not sure what was going on with that. There's nothing that leads. What would the motivation be? Why put this into play? But I mean, it's more leaning to like a Kagan Klein lone wolf than it is to a mean teen theory or a mixture of both. Somehow um, maybe Kagan was fully aware of what was going on with that theory, and it's somehow tied in. But it's definitely somewhere in that ballpark, I'm thinking. Yeah, she could have just been curious, Grunge. Maybe I'll just go take a look. But it seems like a setup, especially if there was some young darker looking guy just hanging out over there on the south end of the bridge by Kay Weber's property. And I mean, apparently, I'm starting to think that that's valid information. All right, guys. Well, I got about 5 minutes and then I got to get out of here. So I will be able to answer a few more questions if I can. If not, I'm sure the chat can. Thought I had more time. Hey, what's up, CD? Thank you, Miss Kitty. What's up, Zach? Mm-hmm. Yeah, Grunge. I wonder if maybe they were already attacked prior to. Maybe they were carried across the river in an attempt to hide them. That's why the shoe was there. That's why there was clothing in the river. Maybe that's how the phone dropped. I don't think so. I don't think they ever searched that. Not that I know of.